happy to have you all here today. My name is Corey. I'm the Director of Black Student Engagement here at 10,000 Degrees. I'm looking at the chat right now. I love all of the engagement. Please continue to do that throughout the workshop today. And again, if you haven't already, please scan that QR code or hit the link in the chat so we can capture your registration. So we'll take a minute just to introduce ourselves. Again, one more time, my name is Corey. I'm the Director of Black Student Engagement here at 10,000 Degrees. I've been in my position now for about a year, and I'm originally from San Francisco, California. So I see a lot of San Francisco folks here today. Thanks for joining us. Went to UC San Diego, so go Tritons. I know I got a couple of fellow Tritons in here as well. And I just want to take a moment today before I pass this off to my other presenters just to thank and congratulate our team. We did a lot of work to put this workshop together. So Regina, Gabby, Vicky, who will all present today, thank you all. Stephanie, who's also a program manager, she couldn't be here today, but want to shout her out. Our program operations team, Maria and Nydia, who are in the background with the tech and who put this lovely slide deck together for us. Thank you both. And then last but not least, I want to give a special shout out to one of our college access fellows. His name is Carlos Calito. Carlos, I don't know if you're here today, but Carlos took a ton of the photos and is responsible for a lot of the visuals that you guys will all see today. So just wanted to show him some love and show the team some love. But thank you all for being here today. I will pass it over to Regina to introduce herself now.
Thank you, Corey. And welcome, everyone. Thank you all for joining us today. My name is Regina Ramirez, and I'm the San Francisco Program Manager. So I'm support our fellows at our 7 sites. So I already saw someone. I know a few of you are here, so thank you all for joining us. I was born in Mexico, raised in San Francisco, went to school at UC Santa Barbara, came back, love San Francisco, did my master's here. So really excited for the session today and the work that we are doing with our students. And then I'll pass it over to Gabby.
Thank you, Regina. Good morning, everyone. My name is Gabriela Esquivias, and I am the Senior Program Manager for our College Access Programming here in Sonoma County. Born and raised here, an alum of 10,000 Degrees. I think my team is here joining me today, so shout out to all of you. And I see a couple of our participants from Hanna Center, Petaluma City Schools, Santa Rosa City Schools. Thank you all for joining us today.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Vicky Jean. I am a senior fellow for the College Success Team, specifically for the 4-year team. I identify myself as a transfer student. I went to College of Marin, where then I later on transferred to Sonoma State University. Currently, right now, I'm working on my master's for college counseling at San Francisco State University. Thank you again, everyone, for joining us. I'll hit us off with our next slide. Our mission is to achieve educational equity by supporting students from low-income backgrounds to and through college, helping them realize their full potential and becoming leaders who positively impact their communities. This mission is important because it addresses barriers that prevent many talented students from accessing higher education. By focusing on long-term support from high school through college graduation, we're not just helping individual students succeed, we're creating ripple effects that uplift entire families and communities. Next slide, please. With our mission at the center, our core values reflect what we believe and why we do this work. We believe deeply in the great potential of all students and that every young person deserves equitable access to a quality education and the opportunity to graduate from college. We see students and alumni as change makers capable in transforming not just their own lives, but also their families, schools, and communities. That's why we recognize the critical role these groups play in educating youth and strengthening the social and economic fabric of our communities. For us, educating all students to reach their full potential isn't just a goal. It's an urgent moral, social, and economic imperative because at the heart of just equitable society is education. And these values keep us grounded in that vision every single day. Thank you. Next slide. With their mission and values as our foundation, everything we do is focused on turning those beliefs into action. We support students to, through, and beyond college because we know that journey doesn't end at admission. We start by building college pathways, awareness, and preparation early on. Then we guide students through the college and financial aid application process, offering personalized advising, and helping them access and manage scholarships and funding. Once in college, we continue to support their success, whether it's navigating coursework, transferring from community college, or staying on track to graduate. And beyond that, we help prepare students for meaningful careers and graduate school opportunities. Our support doesn't stop at graduation. We stay connected with our alumni, empower them to their success as they become change makers in their communities. Next slide. As we continue to expand our reach, our impact is growing every year. We now serve students and families across 8 Bay Area counties and even in Utah, partnering with over 300 high schools, 57 community colleges, and nearly 200 four-year colleges and universities nationwide. Each year, we reach more than 16,000 students and families, and the results speak for themselves. Over 80% of our four-year college students graduate, which is nearly double the national average. Our scholars receive over $9.6 million in scholarships, helping unlock more than $58 million in free financial aid. Because of this, only 10% of our students take out loans compared to 69% nationally. And our community college students transfer to and graduate from four-year institution as twice the national rate. These numbers show not just growth, but meaningful and lasting impact, which I am also part of 10KD alumni team, so I am part of that percent as well. And now I'll pass it on to Corey.
Thank you, Vicky, for that 10KD overview. I know we have a lot of internal staff here, but for our external folks, that was just so you guys can understand what we do here at 10,000 Degrees. So next, I'll kind of ground us on our session today, and then we'll get started with the rest of the program. So we're all educators. We all support students, right? We work at different nonprofits, institutions, schools, wherever it may be. So we all see these challenges that our students are facing, right? So I won't read these line for line or bubble for bubble, but I'm sure these are common trends and things that you guys have all seen yourselves, right? Now, our Black students in particular have even more challenges, right? So studies have shown that our Black and African-American students at high schools are often suspended from school or expelled at higher rates than their peers. They often have responsibilities outside of the classroom. Our college students, for example, are twice as likely to have to work full-time while they're in school or have caretaking responsibilities at home, which, as you can imagine, would definitely pull them away from being able to focus on their studies. Studies have shown that Black and African-American adults aged 25 to 64 in 2021 are at a very low percentage as far as other demographic groups, as far as who obtain bachelor's degrees, right? So I could go on and on and on about the statistics as to why we need to support our Black students. I think this visual here of the mountain to climb, as it says at the top, is a very good representation of that pathway for our students. Here at 10,000 Degrees, we support our students to and through college, which, as I'm sure many of you guys do at your institutions as well. But our Black students often need a little bit more love, right? So that's what we're here for today. That's what we're here talking about today. I'm super excited to let you all experience the panels and the workshop activities that we have planned. So I'll stop there. Next slide, Nydia, please. Okay, so today's agenda. So we're just about done with introductions. In a moment, we'll invite all of our expert panelists to come on. We'll have an expert panel with a Q&A. I'm super excited for you all to hear from these experts. I've had many conversations with the three of them, and I learn something new every time. So I'm super excited for that piece. We'll then take a quick break, and then we'll resume the workshop with a student panel where you guys will get to hear directly from college students who identify as Black and African American. They'll be able to tell us about their shared experiences and some of the challenges, but also highlights that they have as Black students at their respective schools and institutions as well. After that, we will go into some action planning and do a large connection activity with the group. More to come on that. I don't want to spoil the surprise. And then after that, we'll close out, have a post-event survey, talk about how to share resources, etc. All right, so these are the goals for our session today. Again, I won't read these line for line, but this is what our team put together and what we're hoping you all gain from today's workshop. First is to enhance our understanding and identify systematic barriers, right? Where are the points of or challenges that we can identify at our own institutions that we can then move the needle to help support our Black students. We want to foster inclusive environments and build some networks, right? I'm looking at the chat and, we've got people and folks from all over, different positions, different institutions. This is a chance for us all to meet and connect and, drop your info in the chat. If there's something you hear today from someone, feel free to reach out or message that person individually. We want this space to be very collaborative and a networking opportunity for you all today as well. Also gaining perspectives, learn some evidence-based strategies and hear from leadership. So that's why we put 2 panels together. Again, these students that you'll hear from and these experts you'll hear from have really great perspectives that I think will help all of us in this space better support our Black and African-American students. With that, I would like to invite our expert panelists to come on. I believe I've seen all of them here. And I will pass this over to Regina, who will moderate our panel.
Thank you, Corey. So we're really excited for both of our panel sessions today. So I'm going to go ahead and we can go to the next slide. We're going to be able to have our expert panels introduce themselves. So let me just double check that we're able to. Okay, perfect. I see them all here. So thank you all. So we'll actually have them all introduce themselves with their name, hometown, current position, and what inspires you to do this work. So if we can actually start with Tremaine and we just go down the line.
Sure. Good morning, everyone. Happy, Wednesday? I can't believe that we're here. It's Wednesday, middle of the week. Glad that you could be with us. I'm Tremaine Austin Dillon, he, him. I serve as the Director of Institutional Equity and Belonging at Sonoma State University. I've been at Sonoma State for about 10 years. I also serve as the advisor to the Black Student Union on my campus. I have been dedicated to Black student success for a very long time. I would say probably even before I became a professional. And what motivates me is my lived Black experience. I live this every day. And I would say currently is institutional transformation. As a doctoral student currently at San Francisco State, I'm studying Black joy and what that means for Black students. And so that's my current inspiration and motivation.
Can you hear me okay? Okay, I was like, is my audio working? Good morning, my name's Letitia Hankey, and I am here in Sonoma County. I've been here since 1993, grew up in Lake County, and I am the CEO of ARS Roofing and Gutters. I've been in the roofing industry for 29 years, right out of college, and started my own company in 2004, and then I founded my nonprofit, the Lime Foundation, which is a nonprofit that helps young people that are looking for pathways into the construction world. So what motivates me every day is just being, a Black woman in the construction industry, and it's very rare. And I want to help other young Black people know that this is a great industry to go into right out of college or even while you're in college. So I'm happy to be here today and looking forward to chatting with you guys.
And hello, everyone. How are you? Happy Wednesday. I am Tanisha Williams. I am from Miami, Florida. I'm right now living in Dallas, Texas. I am a special education teacher. I used to be an administrator, also working with several students of different disabilities in really great abilities is what I would say. Currently, I am also an instructional coach at HMH and do curriculum writing for special education as well. With that came a lot of work with the behavior, and I am most excited. And the reason I do the work that I do today, and my focus is mostly on the Black child, because I too was that Black child, right? And grew up in Liberty City in Miami, and I know the feeling of having this right supports around you, therefore, so you can thrive and do amazing things. When they believe in you, our teachers, it really matters.
Thank you all. And I forgot to mention, if we were in person, we would be clapping, we would be snapping our fingers. So this is a welcome to all our audience to just add in the chat. You can use any emojis. I know sometimes it's hard to find the ones you really want to find, but I see the celebrations, I see the claps, so we see all of those. So I know in person it would be totally different. So please, anything that you want to share, anything that you want to celebrate, please include it in the chat. We'll have some time at the end for questions, but if any questions come up as you're hearing from our experts today, please add them. We'll filter through them and try to either go through them as our panelists are speaking, or we just save some time at the end. But please, we can see all of your claps and everything. So all of those and comments are welcome. So we'll go ahead and start with our first question. If we can go to the next slide. So this question is for Tanisha and Tremaine. So in your experience, what role does culturally responsive teaching, coaching play in improving educational outcomes for Black students? So if we can start with you, Tanisha.
Absolutely. In my experience, this is such a very important and powerful thing when it comes to working and teaching our Black students. When they see themselves within the books and the curriculum that's there, making sure that you choose the right things to teach your students, it really, really improves their outcomes because they can see themselves in different limelights, okay? Something that I've done, I worked at a school as an administrator, and we made sure that we had African-American studies. We made sure we studied the right curriculum for them. So therefore students can see all the really great things that were happening around their life, right? We also ensure that even when we had an orchestra, we looked at Black violin, so therefore they can see other violinists playing. I too play violin, so I used to sometimes play in the hallways as students were walking, but they just wanted to see those moments. Here's the thing that was really amazing also, through coaching teachers and the teachers that worked at my school, we used a lot of different strategies, but one was AIC feedback, which reaffirmed things that we saw in the classroom. We talked to them about the impact of their day-to-day, and we also challenged them at the end to improve a practice that they have. And I will give you an example of one, a young man, which was a teacher. He would often call his students boys, and he was a white male. We had to have AIC feedback conversation because we all know that that is something that's not as positive in the Black community. He was like, well, everyone says it at home. When I was in Georgia, and I said, listen, time to change, honey. The impact of you doing this is making someone feel a certain way. So we are not going to do that. I challenge you to replace that and call our students by their names, understanding their names, and their mom gave them their names. So he definitely took that very well, and I was proud of him and the work that he did. But I'm definitely never afraid to have those conversations. But this is why it's really important to be culturally responsive and also coach teachers to improve our students overall. Thank you all.
So I would say yes to all of that, and that there is something to be said about centering how teachers create space in the classroom, right? What does that space look like? What visual things are seen when Black students walk into that space? Do they see themselves? And so I would focus on environment first. We often have conversations with faculty here at Sonoma State about what does the feeling of having to sit in a chair for 2 or 3 hours feel like? How about have a circle? We learn differently. We learn through engagement. And so I would encourage instructors to think about how they situate themselves in the classroom. I would also encourage faculty, instructors to think about anti-Blackness and how that shows up in your campus, right? Because it's there, right? So you might have to do some digging. You may need to talk to folks, but do some assessment about what does it mean to be a Black student at your institution, and then incorporate that into your classroom. Incorporate how students are actually feeling and create spaces for joy. Like I said earlier, Black joy is what I'm all about right now. I'm reading about it. I'm engrossed in it, in the literature. And I can tell you that when you focus on joy and you focus on celebrating Black students in the classroom through the literature, through the assignments, allowing them to be as creative as their minds can be to express and to learn, I think that's when you're truly not just doing pedagogy, but you're doing that justice work, right? And so I would encourage you to think about justice work when you're talking about classroom and culturally responsive teaching.
Thank you both. We'll go into our next question, and this is going to be for all, so it might take a little bit of time, but totally okay. So question is, what are some examples of mentorship or community programs that have had a meaningful impact on Black student success in education or professional growth and development? So for this one, we'll start with you, Letitia, and then we'll just kind of move down the line.
Great. I love this question. So when I was in college, it was important because I grew up in Sonoma County, so there's a very small Black community, especially back in my day. And so engaging in the Black Student Union was really important for me because I had people that were experiencing my experiences and people that I could talk to about those things, because it was difficult for me to be able to express what was going on with me in that time. As a professional, once I started my career, I actually engaged with the North Bay Black Chamber, the Black Chamber that was here in our area, that's still here in our area. And I got involved with them because when I wanted to start a business, because I knew immediately I wanted to be an entrepreneur and start a business, I was not getting very much support on how to do it, where to start, how to, I had nothing. And someone referred me to the North Bay Black Chamber, and there I was able to find a mentor. And that mentor, and she's passed, Ann Bolney, she helped me actually go to a bank. She convinced them to give me a bank loan to start my business. And before, banks were just laughing in my face. You want to start a roofing company? I got people laughing in my face, and the Black Chamber stood by me and helped me through it. They had programs that I was able to get some additional training on how to run a business, and even now to this day, they have those programs available and all that access available to anyone who's wanting to do that. We also, when I was part of the chamber, I was the president for about 10 years, and we started the Entrepreneurs of Tomorrow Scholarship for Black students. So we give scholarships to Black students as well. So that gives them a chance to be able to have some extra money to get through college. So there are programs around, but you do need to seek and look for those opportunities, because they really can make a difference in your life. Because of them, I've now been the CEO of my own company for 21 years because of the help that I got from the chamber and the mentorship. So that's those are two places that I say what you should check out for sure.
All right, I was gonna let Tremaine go, but I noticed we were both pausing and waiting for that. Thank you, Letitia. I love everything that you said. I'm just gonna add on a few things. My experiences have been so different, you all. I did a lot of work in Seattle, right? And also in Hawaii. I did some traveling, right? But my roots are grounded in the South. So one of the things that we always had, I went to HBCU, Bethune-Cookman University. And when it came to mentoring, we always had a bunch of professors and also those that were in fraternities and sororities that they made sure that they always poured into us. One of the things that we said at Bethune-Cookman was enter to learn, depart to serve. And that's the one thing that we always had was the service to our students, service to our community. And the biggest thing is we always talked about how to make sure you have a very large impact on your community. I took that when I went into schools as an educator, as an administrator, and I would find, even when I was in Seattle, we had Omega Psi Phi come into our school. The school was an all Black high school, and they would come out and mentor our boys. We even had firefighters and everything. They would come out and mentor our students because we wanted them to see community members that were there. I even went through searching. It was a shock to me when I was in Seattle and not seeing that many people of color and all the things that were happening. Big shock, okay? Because my whole life has been Blackity Black, everything wonderful, Black joy, Black love, that's been my life. So when I got there, trying to find a mentorship program, because I had a few students, they were going the wrong way. And no matter how many times they had other people talking to them that were not of color, when they heard from a Black male or a Black woman, a lot of the students used to flock to me as the Black teacher or the Black administrator. So did some research. Essence Magazine, Seattle Cares, talked with their leaders, and they actually came out and started doing work with our school. So it is one of those things. Sometimes you have to go out and seek, figure out. NAACP was there. I started going into that also and became members. But it's the whole thing is just get involved with the mentoring movement and also looking for other community members. Here's the biggest part. Even with this, we didn't have to go out and find the people that are so high up in the community. We had parents of other kids. They also started mentoring, and we started training them how to be a mentor, making mentor programs within our school. Since we created curriculum, let's create that too. And that was most powerful. It was a very large Somali population, and a lot of the Somali moms and dads, they came out, and I mean, you would see them walking the hallways with students, talking to us about different things, explaining things with culture, not to explain themselves, but to make sure that we're immersed in knowing who they are. And it was a beautiful experience. So this is very meaningful work. Please make sure you pour into our kids. Tremaine.
Thank you. I would say some examples that I know for sure have worked because they work with us right now at Sonoma State. 100 Black Men of Sonoma County, they are a great partner. NAACP of Sonoma County as well, they are also a great partner. I would also say there's a couple other nonprofits and groups like Petaluma Blacks for Community Development. They do great work with the youth. So there's some great examples in Sonoma County, and those are partnerships that we have fostered and we continue to develop. So a part of that mentorship and having impact is having staff that are willing to work with those groups, getting to know them, right? And so I would encourage you to find ways to connect with those groups in your local areas because they exist. There's NAACP chapters across the entire state. And so I would encourage you to reach out to them if you aren't already connected. Some other things that we do here at Sonoma State, we have our Male Success Initiative, which is focused on mentorship and cultural programming for Black men. Sometimes it's important for men to have space for them. We also do the same thing for our Black women. We have the Emoji Queens group, right? And so things that they can focus on, they've done programs around hair care and different programs around how to show up as a confident, strong Black woman. And so I would encourage you to think about how to build those bridges and maybe use the students. Encourage your students to find out what do they want to see in mentorship? What are they looking for? Ask them, see what they want. That was something that helped us establish the Emoji Queens group because the Black women wanted a space. And so we worked with them and we made that happen. And so echoing everything else that the other two panelists said, but just making sure that you're reaching out and building bridges with the local orgs.
Thank you all. And for our audience, please, any notes, anything, you'll have a chance to kind of check back with the panelists in case you hear of something and you want to implement it, or your school site, or your community-based organization at your campus. So please make note of that. There's going to be a chance at the end for questions, like I mentioned, but also connection. We have 3 amazing panelists today. So and I know we keep saying, but writing any notes, anything for any programming that you want to implement. And then we'll go to our next question. And this one will be for Tanisha and Tremaine. So we'll start with you, Tanisha, and then we'll go to Tremaine. So this is more based on kind of our school site. So how can schools and educators create a sense of belonging for our Black and African American students, both in and outside of the classroom?
Yeah, this one's good. Thank you so much. I'm like, this is great. Okay. So as we think about it, and Tremaine and Letitia, thank you so much for being here. And I'm loving everything. We're like bouncing off of each other really good. So I know right here, we're about to bounce. Okay, we're bouncing. So when we're thinking about making sure we have a sense of belonging, I just talked about connection being one of the biggest things when it comes to the Black community, right? So when it comes to that, there's so many different organizations. There's so many different things that students can do within their school. I myself, growing up in Liberty City, I was in the marching band. I was, even when I went to college, marching band, music, dance. These things can help out our students so much, in a point of not going out and being in other areas and getting in trouble. I'm just going to keep it real. A lot of times, activities that are based for our students, the Golden Girls. Like I just think not the movie, the Golden Girls, but Golden Girls are at my school. They were the dancers. Every young girl wanted to become a part of that group. With that group, we made sure their GPA had to be a certain level. We made sure that they were the top of the line of everything because they had a sense of belonging. They felt like they this is a place that is mine as well. It's not I'm just going to school. I belong here and I see myself here. A lot of the time, we ensure that our teachers all know to be a part of an extracurricular activity. So we create those and we create them based off of what students want. So Tremaine, when you were talking about that earlier, not just throwing out activities, right? Or throwing out get what the people want. You got to give the people what they want. That's old songs, right? But we always make sure that we go in and we figure out what do you all want. I was over the hair care group at our school. Yes, and I will say this. I had in my office as a principal boxes and boxes of weave and everything else. I taught them and also had mannequin heads. The girls, some of the girls who used to think their hands were made for fighting, they instead put those same hands into learning that they had creativity in those hands. And that's what's so important to have a sense of belonging. Figure out what they want, what's important. I'll give you another really funny thing that I did because I always think outside of a box. Okay. TikTok, when it came out and everything, students were obsessed with it, right? Everybody still is. But they were obsessed with it. And a lot of times we did not have the students with their phones in school because we know the reason for that. What we did instead, the teachers started making sure that if they had science activities or anything else, that they were putting together TikToks. And that's how they were learning, like, because they figured out what do they want, you know? So that also gave them a sense of belonging. And they're like, look at my creativity. A very great educator, Dr. Mims, she created the first Black educators. She said, the thing that we're missing in education that we used to have before, everybody think about it, show and tell. When we had moments of show and tell, the thing that will happen, I'm bringing up a mouse. This mouse is my favorite one because it makes me feel like blah, blah, blah. These things, it makes us connect to one another. We're not looking at what you're wearing. We're not looking at this. We have a sense of belonging and say, hey, I could become friends with you because of this. So this is why it's so important for us to create a sense of belonging with our students and in and out of the classroom. And also, please become a part of the families, not directly there, but get to know the families. I'm really big on that because a lot of times you'll have a student that is acting out or so. Once you create once again, connection, community is everything. Once you have that connection, I always tell people 3 o'clock comes, call that parent and say, whatever was positive for that day. Timmy had a great moment of blah, blah, blah. As soon as that student here, you talk to their parent, and that connection comes there, it's nothing but positivity that comes out of it. So yeah, that's in and out of the school. Tremaine, I can get so happy on this. Go for it.
No, I feel you. No, I was happy just hearing you. No, I agree. And I would add that, it starts day one. When students show up to your campuses, how are you welcoming them? How are you orienting them to campus? What are you doing? Right? Like I've challenged our campus here to say, we need to have some sort of a Black orientation. We have a general orientation for all students at Sonoma State. Everyone participates, but we need to have a time for community. And it's going to happen this summer for the first time where we come together and you meet me, you meet the Black faculty here, you meet all the different Black administrators, you get to see who the BSU students are from day one, right? And so I would encourage you to think about that. And it also starts with just really building that relationship. It is like you have to get to know them. So you have to consider the ways that you're engaging students when you first meet them and letting them know that this space is for them. And you do that by inviting students that have similar experiences into the conversation, letting them hear from other folks. You do that through, letting them know that their cultural wealth extends beyond what they read in a book, right? We have a ton of knowledge that isn't necessarily conformed to something in a textbook. What does that community cultural wealth look like, right? There's research out there about that and how the lived experiences that Black folks have Black students experience should be brought into the campus environment as something of value. And so making sure that students understand that. Something that we've done recently at Sonoma State, we have opened a Black Resource Center. which is pretty phenomenal given that we don't have a lot of Black students here. So we're able to say to students, hey, this is a space, and we're hoping that that helps other Black students come and engage. And so having a space. And I also want to give a shout out to the Black faculty and staff that are probably doing this work alone, right? And so how do we encourage them along the journey? Because we're the ones that end up getting a lot of the conversations, the questions, and the frustration of students not feeling like they belong. And so what can we do for Black faculty and staff on your campuses to make sure they first feel like they belong? Because sometimes I don't feel like I belong here. I don't. And, it's hard. And so I lean on the Black Faculty Staff Association to help me get through some of those feelings. And so what kind of spaces do you have for your Black faculty and staff? And then what do you have for your students? So that's what I would say.
Thank you. And I know there was a question in the chat. I am taking notes of the question, so we'll leave that for kind of our Q&A, but please continue to add your questions. I will take note of those, and then we'll have a bit of time to go over some of them. So I know if we go to the next question, this was touched on a little bit, but this is a big question that has come up in a lot of our school sites, in a lot of our kind of spaces. So this will be a question for all. And so what role does family and community engagement play in supporting the academic success of Black students? How can educators and counselors better collaborate with families? So we'll start with Letitia on that. We'll go Letitia, Tremaine, and then Tanisha.
Family, woo. Family was really important for me because, well, my parents made sure I knew that, no one in my family had graduated from college. So I knew pretty early on that I was going to graduate from high school and go straight into college because I was, determined to break that curse. But what ended up happening for me is in my senior year of college, I ended up getting promoted at the job that I was working at the roofing company I was working for, and ended up dropping out in my senior year of college. I thought I was a failure. I thought I was going to be a failure to my parents. I didn't even know how I was going to tell them, but they were supporting me. They're just like, I support the decision that you're going to make and whatever you're going to go into next. I mean, when I said I was going into roofing, I don't think they really grasped that that it would be what it is today. But having my family support me through that, and it helped me to not go into a deep depression of not finishing college and breaking that curse. Now I am going to be returning back to college here at 49 years old to finish, so I am excited about that finishing it, but it was my family's encouragement and being there for me. I work with a lot of students through our program right now, through our trades academy that we do, and I know that they have a lot of family members that are not supporting them to go into the trades because they simply don't understand the career. So we actually do an orientation as far as like what educators and counselors can do to collaborate with families. We do an education and orientation with their family members, their guardians or their parents, and we talk to them about the industries and what it's like. I always talk about the world of plumbing. Sometimes we get a lot of youth that want to go into plumbing, and I always ask, what's the first thing you think of when you think of a plumber? And I know at least half of you are thinking of the same thing I'm thinking of, plumber's crack, right? That is what people think of the construction industry. That's what it's all about. But I tell them, did you know that those same plumbers are making $250,000 and more a year in this industry? So it's educating parents that didn't know that and letting them know that this is, the type of industry where they can make money. And so I'm dedicated to getting more young black people into the construction trades. And again, while you're in college, you could be working. That's what I did. I was working for a roofing company while I was in college and then became an entrepreneur. And so I just think it's about educating our family members, first of all, that are going to help to encourage us and be supportive of us and making sure that they have all the information. So hope that was helpful.
That was awesome. Thank you for sharing that. For me, it is everything. When you engage families as partners, they sort of have a shared mission on what is trying to happen, right? And so that's very key. I know growing up, my mom was always in my middle school's office. She was always challenging them on what they were doing, what assignments they were giving me, and how they were treating me, because they tried to put me in a remedial class. And she said, that's not happening today. or tomorrow. And so she had a lovely conversation with the principal, and next thing you know, I got switched to a gifted class because she actually had them look at my test score. She had them actually look at what I was doing. My problem was talking too much. I was a chatterbox. I used to chat, and so they thought it was a behavioral thing, so I needed to be put in a different type of class. No, I'm just social, but I was getting my work done, I was engaging, and I was actually uplifting my peers in that process. And so family is really important. They should be seen as helping to create what's happening in the classroom, right? And so spending time with them, engaging with them is truly important. And going where they are. It's not always about them coming to you. What kind of events, what kind of opportunities can you create at your institution where you go to them? Because they're working, they have jobs. And so how can you make it as convenient as possible? And that's true engagement.
Thank you both. I'm going to change things around just a little bit. I'm going to have you all go into a world of thinking about, we all know how important family is. It's everything. But remember, a lot of our families, a lot of parents of our students may have not had the best educational situations occur. Right now, we hear the words like, even though you hear diversity, equity, and all of that stuff, and they're making it something bad, it's something that's positive. But before the days of today that we are so powerful, and you hear so much about the Black voice and everything, there was a time when it was not the thing that was happening. So I have had the experience. I'm going to talk about that experience, and I'm talking about my family, which is amazing. But I'm going to talk about that experience. I've had experiences of parents that are afraid to come into the school because it created a trauma for them, because they were that kid also. So I always make sure I talk to my educators, no matter if they're white, Black, or anything else, and said, please take away your biases of what you may think that's happening within the family or outside in that community, and get to know that person. That person may come looking a certain way or whatever, but their mind is still important. Their child is most important. And here's the biggest thing. The parent, that's their baby, right? When they see that you care about that child just as much, that's when you're going to start flipping that script, that parent's not afraid to come out to the school, that parent will be like Letitia's mom, or like how my mom was, or how Tremaine's parent was, or a lot of your parents, right? We have to start switching that, and that people have to understand, like, it's scary for a lot of parents, especially Black parents. Okay? They work a lot. They're amazing though. It's also some good mamas and daddies. Okay. So it's really important. Now I'm gonna give you all this. Like I keep saying, my experience has been so different growing up. I grew up in Liberty City in Miami. I mean, yes, they made a lot of things from Liberty City, but I had a beautiful childhood. Everything was Black. Every mural was Black. My dad was a Black Panther. My mom had an afro bigger than anything. And they dared us to ever think less of ourselves. I also went to schools that were all Black teachers, but they were from our community, and they made sure they came back to our community to teach us. We need more of that, not saying more just Black teachers everywhere, but we need people who are coming in and seeing the kids. What they did is they saw us for who we were. Tanisha was Tanisha. This person was this person. I didn't experience racism until I was clear out of college. And I was like, but the first thing I knew how to do in my Black excellence and start teaching our students that voice you have, or as Tremaine said, he was chatty, he had fun. Black kids can have fun too. They can talk as well. Their voice is very powerful in their class as well. Just because they're talking or maybe standing up in class it does not mean there's a threat. So here's the biggest part. Take away the biases that sometimes you have. Take away that lens when it comes to the family or anyone else. Every night, I'm just saying it as an educator, and I've heard people in education say it. Oh, since they've been with us, they've been doing so much better. Honey, you did not save anyone. Okay, that child was great. What you are going to do as an educator is continue pouring into them where they are and continue making moments occur. Okay, but the biggest part is make sure you know the brilliance. Make sure you also have moments of communicating with families. I know a lot of people are in college and everything, but before they got to college, they were in high school and everything else. It is important to talk to the families and say, your child is this, that, really amazing today. and I'm going to give out one more story. I speak in stories and parables. But one of my little girls, and I can say her name because I'm so proud of her now, and she's an adult, and so she's okay with me when I speak to people. Zaria, when I got her, her mom just had a stroke because she did so much in school that her mom got sick, you know? And her mom actually found out where I was. We were in Seattle. She found out where a Black teacher was that taught in special education. And we had an event, and she said, I want to tell you, my daughter does this, this, that, and that. I don't know. And the little girl looked at me and was like, you're not going to be able to take care of me or do anything. I said, sweetie, I'm just going to love you, and we're going to keep working together. From there, she went from being that student that wanted to fight people to being that student that created things. I shared moments with her, talked to her about how she needs to love her mom, how she is more than what others see. She used to honestly get mad if you gave her a compliment and go and punch something later on. So I had to start getting her into a place of saying, this week, I'm going to tell you 2 really great things. And I want us to reflect on it. And next thing you know, she started coming through. She works in ABA, Applied Behavior Analysis. She's doing ABA work now. And she's so proud of it. She said, you really unlock that so I can see other kids and know that they're not just what people think they are. So it's important to trust family and engage with them. Thank you.
Thank you all. We'll actually skip our next question and go to, we go 2 questions down. Just to give time for Q&A, but this is another really important question that has come up, in a lot of spaces. So this will be for all. If you can just take maybe, a shorter time but this is one that has come up so much. So I want to make sure that you all have the time to kind of share with our audience today. So how do you encourage Black students to take on leadership roles and develop a positive identity, especially in spaces where they may be underrepresented? So we'll start with Letitia, and we'll go again, Letitia, Tremaine, and Tanisha.
This question. I finally just started sharing my story and the things that I went through growing up in Lake County. I don't know how many of you guys are familiar with Lake County, but it's a predominantly white area that I grew up in most of my life since I was 5. And what it was like for me to experience hatred and racism and bullying and everything that I went through as a kid made me who I am today. And so, I lead by example of, even you could go through some of the worst times in your life and experience hatred and racism and people not supporting you and telling you that you'll never amount to anything because you're Black. I've taken all of that and proven them wrong. And not only that, empowering other Black youth and youth of color to be who they're meant to be and to know that they're meant to be something. And so I'm leading by example. I'm mentoring our Black and people of color. And that's how I can encourage them to be leaders and to also, share their stories and move on from it and make sure that they know that they are capable of more than anything. So that's how I encourage them to be leaders.
For me, I would say that it's building their confidence through mentorship and having them see other leaders that look like them, right? And so making sure that they're exposed to Black leaders on your campuses, at your organizations, or within the community. And then also, you need to pay them. You got to pay them. So if you need to do some extra work to get funds raised, they need to be paid to show the value. I think it's important to teach them that it's not about just doing stuff for free all the time, right? And sometimes I think as students, they are overwhelmed. They have a lot going on. And so the more that we can provide resources, whether it's through additional opportunities, whether it's through actual money, dollars and cents, show them the value of their work, right?
Yes, none of us work for free. So we have to also make sure our students don't feel that way. And I know that's in college world, we're thinking about that. But if you think of like high school and different things like that, motivation is key. So one of the things that I would say is, just like Letitia, I make sure that students understand my story. I share a part of myself. So therefore, they'll start opening up and sharing parts of themselves, okay? From there, I always make sure I stamp the positives and the strengths of my students. I had one student that was very strong-willed, and I always give examples. Like I said, very strong-willed. Another student, a lot of students that are, instead of me seeing it, oh my gosh, she's strong-willed and she's arguing with everyone. No, I saw her as a leader, because everybody, if she said something, students did whatever she said. Instead, I started telling her, you know, your voice is pretty powerful. Change that power and make it positive. That she started doing announcements for the school. We started giving her certain quotes that she can tell other kids. And she started doing, I used that voice. That was a voice that people go, and use it for something good. I had a student that was a hall walker. She became a hall monitor. She made sure those hallways were more clean, and she pulled the whole group together to do it. And it's those moments. Positive identity, we make sure we have to stamp it for them, and we got to tell them what we see, because sometimes, like I said, they don't see it themselves, and some of their parents, I've had parents say, oh, I never saw him like that. Oh yeah, this is what he can do. So we have to just overcome the traumas as well, and also stamp it for our students.
Thank you. Thank you all. This has been great. Due to time, I'm going to combine the two questions that were in the chat. One was really long, so I'll try to kind of rephrase it. So there were two questions talking more around college, encouraging students to go to college and how to support them in the enrollment process. So one was specific to kind of going beyond what is used as, you know, a common, what is kind of what we, you know, everyone says like best college, or depending on different rates, or kind of talking about what is the best. Let's say you look it up. So I think it's going beyond that. So any of you, if you just want to go into it more about how to encourage students, how to support them, and then maybe going beyond what many students consider, you know, the best college in a college list.
I'll jump on this one. I'll make it quick, y'all. But one of the things that we did, two things we used to do for our Black students, the HBCU experience, even students in Seattle, we raised enough funds from community members that believed in the whole entire process, and we took students to different colleges. They got to see things, and they were so excited. They just wanted to be on that campus or anything about it. Something else that I used to do as an administrator, before every event that we had at our school, we would play Lift Every Voice and Sing, but we also played a band or a snippet from something that's college related, either music with a band, or either a student that had a really great experience in college, that students started seeing themselves, and we made sure it was students that looked just like them. So that was one of the ways that we definitely pushed that as well. I don't know if Tremaine or Letitia, if you had anything.
I was just going to say quickly that I think that, you know, college is not for everyone, and that's okay. That's okay. So let's just start there, right? And then if they are interested, truly interested in college, it's about getting them exposed to the environment, letting them see a college campus. I would also say hearing from the students that are currently there that look like them. That's been the most powerful thing here at Sonoma State. We have Black Student Success Ambassadors, and so they are a big part of our recruitment specifically for Black students. So when we go on college tours or we're doing presentations, letting those voices be heard up front and getting your campus ready. There's a certain things about campus readiness, because maybe your campus isn't ready for Black students and you need to do some work before you go out and recruit them, right? And so what does that look like? Do you have a BSU? Do you have Black faculty and staff? Do you have support systems like a Black Resource Center? And if you don't have those things, what are you doing to supplement those things, right? And so making sure that your campus is ready.
For me, I ended up getting into 3 colleges. One is the Manhattan School of Music in New York, Berkeley University, and Sonoma State University. And when I was trying to decide, and I visited all 3 to kind of make my decision on, you know, where I wanted to go. I was 17 years old, about to go off on my own and figure it out. I had to make the decision of, you know, like money-wise. I was putting myself through college. I had a small amount of, scholarships that was going to help me, but I needed to figure out like where I could maybe still live at home if I needed to, if I was broke. So I chose Sonoma State University, which was a great choice, by the way. And it helped me because I was able to go to the Santa Rosa JC during the summer to take summer classes. And I kind of had to weigh it out on like, what can I afford? I didn't want to go into a lot of debt. And that's kind of how I made my decision, was just kind of weighing all those things, where am I going to live? I don't want to go in a lot of debt, and what can I afford? That's how I made my decision.
Thank you all. And I hope that answered the questions. I know we're a little bit short on time, but any other questions that come up as this more for the for the audience, feel free to add them. Please, if, everyone in the audience can kind of, with me, big thank you to our panelists today. I know there have been a lot of questions, from our school side. So a lot of these questions are, I'm sure, supporting a lot of the work that, we're doing and we'll continue to do. So, thank you all for everything you shared today. It's been amazing to kind of hear from you and take a lot of what you have either done or experienced to the work that we'll be doing. So we're actually going to, and you see all the chats coming in right now. So thank you. We can't say it enough. This is great to kind of have everyone and to have you all kind of share with us. Perfect. And so the contact, we'll also be able to share the contact with the audience for any questions. So thank you all again for this. It's been amazing.
Thank you as well. I just want to say thank you for allowing this space and for asking us to do this. This was awesome. Thank you.
Yes, thank you all so much. This has been everything. I couldn't wait for today. So yes.
Thank you. And just due to time, we'll be moving into our little next section.
Now you all will get to hear from some of our college students. I really just want to set the table and hype this group of students up. They all have amazing perspectives. I've been working with them the last couple of weeks in preparation for this panel, and I know they are going to crush it and do great. So with that, I'll pass it to Gabby, who will facilitate this panel. And let's have all of our student panelists come on screen. And I know they're all here because I just checked. Gabby, take it away.
Thank you, Corey. All right, y'all. You already heard a little bit about me. Just for time's sake, I'm going to go ahead and just jump right in and invite our panelists to come on camera and unmute themselves. Similar to the previous panel, we're just going to follow the order. We're going to try to get everyone to answer every question because your voices and perspective is what really we're here to hear today. So to kick us off.
Hi, my name is Serenity Allen. I'm originally from Memphis, Tennessee, but I did graduate high school in Northern California. I attend Xavier University of Louisiana, majoring in health medicine and society, with minors in entrepreneurship and psychology, and the hobby that I have is painting.
Hello, everybody. My name is Sarah Mondesir. I'm originally from San Rafael, California, and currently I attend American University majoring in sociology. And a hobby that I have is really just coloring or cooking.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jalea Butler. I'm originally from San Francisco. I go to UC Davis, and my major is human development. And something that I like to do is to read.
Go ahead and get started. Thank you all, to you students, for making time to be on this panel and talking to our community members who are looking to learn more about your experience and learning how to be a better ally. So our first question, we'll start off with Serenity. Can you speak to the importance of seeing Black teachers, administrators, or mentors in your educational environment, and how does that impact your experience?
Seeing Black teachers, administrators, and mentors in my educational environment is really important to me. It makes a huge difference just knowing that there are people in the room who truly understand my experiences, not just academically, but also culturally and emotionally. When I do see Black educators in leadership roles, it does more than just inspire me. It's able to challenge stereotypes and shows me what's possible. It kind of shows me that I can be in those spaces too, that I can be able to lead and create impact in meaningful ways. representation like that creates a sense of validation, in my opinion. There's like a natural safe space that forms, one where I don't have to like think or strength myself to explain every part of who I am. I can just show up as my authentic self without the fear of being misjudged or misunderstood. And this is actually one of the biggest reasons why I chose to attend an HBCU. Even though not all of my professors are Black, I found that they understand me in a way that professors at predominantly white institutions may not. There's just a deeper level of empathy and shared history and commitment to nurturing Black students like myself. And I feel like my voice matters more and my experiences are recognized as valid and valuable, not just something that needs to be explained or justified. And basically just being in an environment like that helps me feel supported and seen.
And then we can just follow along the panel line. So Sarah, do you want to share a little bit on that question?
Yeah, so for me, it's very important to see Black teachers and administrators because it impacts who my peers and I are exposed to. I feel like for many people, they lack the experience of seeing people of color in professional spaces and seeing Black professionals as well. And because of that, they struggle to envision our success in those areas. And then we do strive to show out in different places. I know for me personally, because of this experience of not really seeing Black professionals at schools and stuff, that really impacts me and how I feel in the community and also how comfortable I feel interacting with that teacher. And the reason why I speak about that comfortability is because I feel as though at times with certain professors, there's this social disconnect towards my experiences and theirs versus my peers. And then at times when they aren't really educated on certain areas where they are reaching to their Black students in ways where they are understanding their experiences and their social experiences within academic spaces, there are times where you feel as though there's just this wall between the both of you. So when I think about having Black professionals and Black teachers, I think about the first step into building community and comfort in certain spaces.
I would also say this is extremely valuable for me because I would like to be in spaces where know that someone's going to understand me and understand like the things that I may be going through without having to explain it all the time. Growing up, I was in a predominantly white area when it came to schools, and I wasn't able to see a Black teacher or administrator for a really long time. And once I finally had that experience, because I've always wanted to be a teacher, I was like, okay, I can do this. This is something that I will be able to do. I think it's really important to have that representation because how else am I supposed to know that I can do this if everybody else is white or just they don't look like me, they don't understand my experiences, and how am I supposed to live up to these expectations when I don't see it? I work with children now, and I can see how their face light up when they see me. Like this little Black girl, she just gets so excited to see me when I come in, and I think that was me but that didn't come for me until I was like maybe like 16, and that was really hard. And I think it's really important to have like someone who looks like you and will understand like the things that you go through um, during these experiences.
Thank you, Julia. I think a lot of you share a lot of the common themes of just representation and feeling seen. I think just even you, Julia, mentioning that of like you being that person for a little girl is really important. And all of you going through college and doing opportunities like even being here today, you will be that person for someone. I think that's really great to hear. Cephas, I see you're joining us. Is there anything you wanted to add for this question? How important is it to see Black teachers or mentors in your educational environment?
Yes, I think it is very important and honestly powerful to see Black people in those roles. And it helps me feel like I belong in these spaces. When you grow up not seeing anyone who looks like you in leadership, it makes you feel like maybe you're not supposed to be there. And for a long time, I didn't have Black teachers or staff around me. I was often the only Black student in my classes. That was hard. I felt like I had to prove myself all the time. But when I joined 10,000 Degrees, I met Black fellows who looked like me and shared similar experiences. They didn't just tell me, you can do it, they showed me that it was possible. It changed how I saw myself and it gave me confidence, not just in school, but also in life.
Thank you, Cephas. All right, so leading into just representation and having mentors in your life, have either of you had a mentor or role model who has made a difference in your life growing up? How did that relationship shape your experience? And if you didn't have one because maybe you did grow up in a predominantly white community or region, what impact would that have had on your life? And then we can go ahead and start with Cephas.
Yes, one of the biggest turning points for me was when I met the fellow through 10,000 Degrees. I was new to everything, the culture, the school system, even living in the US. I had so many questions about a lot of stuff, and I didn't know how to apply for financial aid, register for classes, or where to go when I needed help. This fellow didn't just answer my questions, they listened to me. They took the time to understand what I was going through, being a first generation student and also an immigrant and still learning how everything works here. And one day when I was really stressed, I remember about a class I was struggling in. They reminded me how far I've come. That moment helped me stop being so hard on myself. They taught me how to believe in myself, not just as a student, but as a leader. Another person I remember who really helped me was a faculty member in high school who worked in the career success office. She was not Black, but she always made me feel seen. When she saw me on campus, she would greet me, ask about my day, and even invite me to lunch with other students. And that made me really happy. That made a huge difference in my life and in high school. And also, it helped me feel included and cared for. And it wasn't just about academics, it helped me feel comfortable and supported socially too.
I've also had the chance to have a mentor who had a big impact on my life. Her name is China Williams, and she works with a nonprofit called Bridge the Gap College Prep. And I became involved with Bridge the Gap when I was attending Tamalpais High School, and that's also when I met China. I actually went to my high school counselor, and I was just like, I just don't feel like I belong like at this school at all. And she was the one who connected me to China. And from the start, China was more than just a mentor to me. She was kind of like a second mom. And she saw potential in me even during the times like when I didn't see it myself. And she would just always encourage me to step outside of my comfort zone, to speak up and take on leadership roles, and to just always believe in my worth, both inside and outside the classroom. Even when certain things may have been tearing me down, she just reminded me to just keep going. And what made her mentorship so powerful to me was that it wasn't just about academics. Like, yes, she helped me stay on top of my schoolwork and she guided me through college applications and things like that. But she also cared deeply about my personal growth and how I was feeling. She checked in on how I was doing mentally and emotionally. She taught me how to just advocate for myself and how to navigate spaces where I didn't always feel seen or heard. And she just gave me a lot of insight on how to go about life as being a Black woman. And now that I am a college student, I still carry her advice and support with me today. I know that no matter what, I can always count on her. And her mentorship just played a huge role in shaping who I am today and why I'm so passionate about helping others.
Yeah. For me personally, a mentor that has definitely shaped me in a lot of different ways is Kim. She was someone I met the summer before my senior year of high school, and she worked with Next Generation Scholars, which is another program in San Rafael. And through meeting her during this academic summer academy, she became a mentor, someone who transformed the way I not only viewed myself as a Black woman, but also navigate the world. And something that I really admired about her is that she never accepts no as an answer. And she, to me, like connecting to our first question, was a Black professional. She was someone who I viewed very successful, who I saw like was able to navigate living in predominantly white spaces and still maintain an aspect of her own identity and herself. And to me, she really showed that sometimes, like when we feel uncomfortable in certain spaces, especially as students of color, we have this tendency to code switch in those spaces. But seeing her always stick to herself no matter what, and bringing her authenticity into professional spaces and non-professional spaces as well, really taught me that I can be who I am in any space that I try to go through. And she always encouraged me to just learn how to speak up for myself and to figure out how to connect to myself no matter how lost or disconnect I may be. And she always reminds me that no matter what, I have no reason to be silent in whatever spaces I end up being in.
A mentor that I had, her name was Miss Linda Jordan. I met her my junior year of high school when I was walking through a hallway, and she said, "Come into my office. Do you need anything? Are you okay?" And I was like, "Who are you?" I wasn't really open to her in the beginning, and then she just kept like she would pull me out of class and she's like, "Are you okay today?" If I looked like sad, she would be like, "Do you need to go to sleep? Do you need anything to eat?" She just made sure that I was okay beyond academics, and I really like enjoyed that. I had someone who seen me for me, and she created a community for me and the couple of Black students who were in my school. She was like, "Okay, yeah, talk to him. Like, y'all are both Black. Y'all need to talk to each other. There's not many of us here." And she definitely gave us a sense of community in our school that just didn't really, that had maybe like 6 Black people out of 2,000. She was just, she was a lot. She was really, I would say she was big. She just made sure like everybody was okay, and she really advocated for the Black students in that school. And I will remember her for the rest of my life. I like still text her to this day. She's like just so sweet. And she made my high school experience really well. She like found me scholarships, found me like people who, "Oh, you like to work with kids? Okay, I'll give you that. Like I'll find these things for you." And it made a really big impact on my life.
Thank you all for sharing. I think that just goes to highlight how one person can have such a huge impact in someone's life, whether it's just like pulling you to the side, checking to see how you're doing for the day, or even helping you navigate college applications or financial aid, how Cephas had mentioned. So thank you all for sharing those experiences. A little bit more about your experience. What challenges have you had to face as a student as it pertains to your identity? And how have you had to overcome them? Cephas?
Yeah. One of my biggest challenges was feeling out of place. When I first got here from Haiti, I didn't speak English well. I was placed in classes where I was the only Black student. And on top of that, I had to catch up on credits. I took 7 classes during my senior year, and I did summer school just to catch up with my with credits in order for me to graduate at the end of the school year. And I also joined the track team. I remember it really helped me make friends and practice English. At first, I was shy, and it was hard for me to push myself and to go out there and meet people. But I knew that it would help me improve not only my English but also get to meet people and get familiar with the culture as well. Another challenge I went through was feeling misunderstood. Some teachers assumed that I wasn't trying when I just needed help or time. What helped me get through all this was believing that I had a purpose, and later meeting people through 10,000 Degrees, of course, who believed in me too. And the main way I overcame these things was by not giving up. I reminded myself why I'm here, and I use what I went through to support others now.
One of the biggest challenges I faced was moving from my hometown of Memphis, Tennessee, which was a place where I was surrounded by people who looked like me and shared experiences like me, to a predominantly white school in California. And that transition was really, really difficult for me. I went from feeling a strong sense of community to often feeling like I stood out for all the wrong reasons. And there were times in the classroom when I felt isolated or I didn't want to speak up, especially when I was one of the only Black students in the room. I didn't always feel like my voice was heard or understood. And on top of that, I was dealing with those kind of like subtle but harmful comments or assumptions that made me just feel like I didn't belong there. So I was like really in my shell and I really didn't speak to anybody. And there was like this constant pressure to just have to prove myself. And like I had to work twice as hard just to be seen or taken seriously. And what helped me overcome these challenges was just finding my support system. And that included programs like Bridge the Gap. And my family was always like there to lift me up also. And I also was able to find a few genuine friends that would help with that too. And I also found community within the Black Student Union that was on campus where I could just connect with others who shared those experiences. And together, these people and spaces were just reminding me that I didn't have to shrink myself to fit in, and they empowered me to just embrace who I am and use my experiences as a source of strength. And in the end, I realized that those challenges didn't break me. They actually helped me grow into the leader and person that I am today.
I feel like one challenge that I faced a lot as a Black student is being overlooked by my peers. At times, I noticed when I would work with my classmates, I feel as though I was always met with an assumption, whether that may have been that I was incapable of doing certain assignments or not understanding what is going on. I have always experienced being treated more like a chore versus a partner in a lot of group assignments. And as a result of this, I definitely grown to be to take on this habit of overcompensating by doing a lot more than what is needed from me, and also reaching above my means. I find myself really developing this habit of either wanting to be a perfectionist or wanting to do something that's like reinventing the wheel because um, I always felt as though like what I originally did, which fell within the lines of what was like provided and drawn out for me, I felt as though like that was never enough. Even though I was doing the same amount of work, putting in the same amount of effort as my peers. And because of this, I always have tried to overcome these experiences that I have in group settings by actively working against it. And I also now, as a college student, have been working on adopting practices where I am constantly like trying to engage my peers by starting every group project off. Emphasizing the importance of shared thoughts and work. And through this, I have always found my own grounding. And I try to create a dynamic within group projects where I'm also uplifting my voice as well as others and not trying to shy away in those private settings.
For me, a challenge that I had to overcome would be this one time I was in the AP class. I got placed in this AP class. I didn't really want to be there, but I was like, okay, I'll do it. And then I would notice that the teacher would always call on me when there's a passage that says the N word, or like there's certain things going on, so I'm being called on. The students are just looking at me like, are you supposed to be here? And I went to my vice principal of my school about it, and I was like, I don't want to be in this class. Like, I'm being targeted. I don't feel safe in here. I don't want to do it. And my vice principal told me that I had to stay in the class because I was a Black girl and I was the only Black person in that class, and they needed me to stay there. And he was like, so what can I do to make you stay? And I'm like, I want to leave the class. Like, I can't do it. Me and the teacher weren't seeing eye to eye. It was just a bad environment for me. Fun fact, I didn't get out of the class. I had to stay in the class. And that just goes to show that I was definitely being like, oh yeah, you're this token Black child. You need to be in this class. They need you. Like, you can do it because you're Black. Like, I just feel like that was a very unsafe environment for me, and I should not have had to stay in there. But I mean, I kind of just had to. Like, it just made me feel so small in that. It was just kind of awful. But I ended up with a C in the class. I guess that was okay. So, yeah.
Thank you all for sharing. I think, yeah, as Julia mentioned, like tokenism in the POC world is very common when you're living in predominantly white regions or working with predominantly white partners and in schools. So I really appreciate, Julia, you for mentioning that, and all of you touched on that theme throughout your answers. I think as allies, really being mindful of that, of really centering your voices as students. We're in this field to support you, and I think that's really good to know and to think about intentionally. So yeah, I think it's just something we needed to hear and consider. So thank you. We are running close on time. We do want to leave live questions from the audience. So I will wrap up kind of combining our last two questions. And it's a lot of the reason why most of us are here today to learn from you is, what advice would you give to educators or school leaders who want to be better allies? And what changes do you want to see from the way that teachers and staff engage with Black students? Cephas?
Yes, my advice is to listen, ask, and show that you care, not just once, but over time. We don't, and some of us are carrying a lot: family stress, cultural differences, financial struggles. And when we feel judged or misunderstood, we might shut down or stop asking for help. So it means a lot when a teacher or leader takes time to check and says, hey, how are you doing? Is there anything you need? You know, also give us opportunities to lead, invite us into decision-making spaces. Don't assume we are not interested. Sometimes we just don't know we are allowed to be there. And also give us a voice and listen to what we have to say. And finally, please hire more Black staff and fellows. It's not just about numbers, it's about trust, safety, and belonging. When we see someone who understands our journey, it gives us strength to keep going.
Just as Cephas mentioned, my top advice would just be to start by listening. Like, don't just listen to what we say, but also to what we might not be saying out loud. And just take that time to understand the challenges that we may face both in and outside the classroom without making any assumptions. And that kind of empathy can really create like trust and safety between you and the student. And I think it's also important to educate yourselves on the historical and systemic issues that continue to impact Black students today. Like, just understand how generational trauma and bias can show up in the education. And one important step to this is to incorporate diverse perspectives into the curriculum all year round, not just like when Black History Month comes around or things like that. And representation really does matter, and it can help students feel seen and valued. And I just feel as if there isn't enough representation in classrooms today. And I remember there was a history project on slavery in my history class in high school. And every time the topic would come up in class, I just felt as if all eyes were on me because I was the only Black student in the classroom. And it was very uncomfortable and isolating. So I did go up to my teacher, well, she was white, and I asked her, like, could I just do the project by myself instead of it being in a group, because I really didn't feel comfortable with doing that. And without hesitation, she did say I could. And that simple response just, it like meant the world to me, because in that moment, I just felt heard and understood. And like, she didn't question me or make me explain myself. She just supported my decision, and that was very heartwarming to me. And I would just say another major piece is advocacy, like speak up when you witness racial bias or inequality, even when it may not be intentional. Like, don't just wait for the students to carry that burden on their own. You can use your voice and your position to call things out and help create a more inclusive environment for these students.
Yeah, I guess for me, I would really say actively seek out your students and actively try to incorporate our successes just as much as you incorporate our losses. I feel like a lot of times, especially during Black History, when Black History Month, during that time, a lot of teachers tend to really acknowledge, okay, the past of Black individuals and things like slavery and different aspects of inequalities that we have endured and we experience. And I think something that would also be just as important is celebrating our existence and things that we have done to overcome that as well. I think a lot of times in my classes, when we are speaking about different authors and theories, we are talking about white people who have done great things. And we always have courses and books that focuses on their accomplishments, and then at times we neglect to acknowledge the accomplishments of people of color. We have invented so many things, we have done a lot, and I think it would be very important to celebrate that and to honestly honor that as well in your courses, even in your fellowship. And in short, I just really wanted to say that Black students would love to be cared for in the other ways students are cared for. And so just acknowledging who we are in the future that we can pave the way for, like, I think would be very important.
Some representation that I think would be really important for Black students is just showing us ourselves on the walls around, making sure that we are able to see that we belong in spaces rather than just during Black History Month, like, yeah, oh, they done this, they do this, but like showing us that we matter all year round and not just during this 1 month, or like making sure that we aren't just seen as the number that we are in the school, but we're seen as the human that we are, and not just overlooking us regardless. I mean, overlooking us through these times where like it's just every day, but seeing us as a person just like any other student would be. I feel like overlooked normally until Black History Month rolls around, and then I think that's when people show that they care, or like they'll look at you and they're like, oh yeah, happy Black History Month, and that's just that. I think that black students feel overlooked most times, more times than not, until Black History Month comes, and we're way more than just that 1 month. I think that we need to be celebrated regardless.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, y'all, for sharing. I'm not seeing any questions come up in the chat. I think we're all just really sitting, being present with the words that you say. I will recognize that it shouldn't be on you as young adults to ask for your needs. I think you've been put in a position where you've had to do that since a really young age. So one, I just want to take the time to appreciate you all for sharing today. Our audience, thank you for being active listeners and engaging in the chat. Thank you, Cephas, Serenity, Sarah, Jalea, for your time, perspectives, and vulnerability. For those of us working to be better allies and who are here today, this is a call to reflect to grow, and to most importantly, act with greater intention and care. Thank you all. Let's give a round of applause and shout outs in the chat. Thank you all so much again. And then we're gonna back to Corey, right? Perfect.
Thank you. Thank you, Gabby, and thank you to our student panelists. One more round of applause and show our panelists some love. It takes a lot to be brave and share your experiences like this in this kind of space. So huge shout out to Cephas, Serenity, Jalea, and Sarah. They are students, so I think some of them have to go. They've got class coming up. So if they've already departed and they're not here to kind of receive this love, we appreciate you guys. So we are running a bit short on time, so we will still do our activity, but we're going to pivot just a little bit. We won't have as much time in our groups to really talk and discuss. So I think what we'll do instead, just for the sake of time, is I'll kind of go through each of our topics and encourage you all to still take away the action items that we put together for you all today. The goal of this whole session is, obviously to hear from experts, hear from students, but we want to send you all away with some very tangible, real, action items and next steps that you can implement in your work at your respective institutions. So next slide, please, Nadia. Okay, so these are our topics. And again, we would have broken out into groups and been able to kind of discuss in a little more detail. But again, for the sake of time, I think we'll just kind of all stay in this larger room and not do breakout groups. But these were the 5 topics: culturally responsive counseling and advising, building strong homeschool community connections, addressing academic disparities and fostering academic success, mentorship, role models, and identity development, and finally, centering Black student voices and experiences. So Nydia, if you could do me a favor, if you could drop the link in the chat to our other Canvas slide where all of our participants will be able to collaborate and participate, that would be great. So if you all want to kind of take a look at the chat, you should see a link coming in soon. It'll redirect you to another Canva slide deck that essentially has just our activity. It's open for you all to edit. And what I would, next slide, please, India. What I would encourage you all to do, especially because we didn't have a lot of time today to actually go through it, is find the topic or topics that most call out to you. Again, we would have joined a breakout room, we would have engaged in discussion, etc. Nydia, can you go back one slide? I'm sorry. Thank you. So I just want to really encourage you all to really commit to an action item or next step, right? The way that they're written, it may not fit exactly for you at your institution. Maybe the quantity or number of things or the timetables, right? It may not fit exactly for you. But in these 5 separate groups and topics, as you guys can see on that slide deck that was put in the chat, there are a lot of guiding questions, a lot of guiding focus topics and discussion topics, and a lot of action items and next steps on each of them. So I really want to encourage you all to find at least one that you think you can implement at your institution, and then really commit to it, right? Because it's all in service of our students, right? So next slide, Nadia. You can keep going. I'll kind of just do an overview of each topic. Perfect. So again, for the first topic, culturally responsive counseling and advising, these are some of the action items and next steps that we've identified that we think may help you at your institution. So again, for the sake of time, I won't go through all of them, but I do just want to do an overview of each topic. The one that I really like here for this group is to identify 2 or 3 resources that you can use in your curriculum at your respective school or institution. Maybe your students are doing some kind of group project or book report or wherever it may be. Maybe encourage them to do more with the Black, community, right? Or Black leaders, Black activists, or whatever it may be. Next one. Okay, for the culturally responsive, actually, I'm sorry, that's a good point. So each topic also does have a notes slide. If you can go back, Nydia, thank you. There's a Padlet on there, which is very collaborative. As you guys work on this, and if you take this, after this workshop and do decide to do stuff with it, we would love to see, your thoughts, your ideas, similar to how we're engaging in the chat today. We put these Padlets together to kind of help our discussions in each room along, and also provide a space for folks who may not necessarily feel as comfortable unmuting or sharing out loud. You can put your info in the Padlet anonymously. And then again, this is collaborative. It's shared to you all. Save it, bookmark it, right? Come back to it. And you can kind of see what other folks are doing or what other folks are saying. Next slide. Okay, building strong homeschool community connections. Again, won't go through all of them, but the one I like here is the community mapping. So identify 1 or 2 or 3 or 4, however many you can. Community organizations or leaders that you can partner with to better support your students. I've seen a lot of questions in the chat. Some folks have messaged me directly like, we love this workshop. Like, can we recreate this for our students? Or can we, can you help me set up another panel? Those are the kind of things we want to encourage you all to do, because it's not just all on you to, support these students, right? Like, it definitely takes a village. And we're here to help you, especially here at 10,000 Degrees. Next slide, please, Nydia. Again, a page of notes and a Padlet for that one. Topic 3, addressing academic disparities and fostering academic success. The action item that I really love on this one is to share resources down at the bottom, right? And if you need help with that, that's what we're here for, right? But there are so many good resources and tools that you can use to better support your students. And we'll be sharing our list of resources and books and articles and et cetera. But you do need to complete that post-event survey. So Nydia, if you want to drop that survey link in the chat, just so folks can start to work on that one more time, that would be great. And then next slide. All right, topic number 4, mentorship, role models, and identity development. I think all of our panelists touched a lot on this one here. The action item that I really like is to look at the data and disaggregate it by race to see maybe where you can lean in a little more for your Black students. Next slide, please. Yeah, and that link was just dropped in the chat for our post-event survey. Fill that out, and we'll be sure to get you your resources from today's workshop. And then lastly, our topic number 5, centering Black student voices and experiences. I like all of these action items and next steps on this one, but I think the one that jumps out to me is to amplify student voices, right? So find ways to allow your Black students, even if you have or don't have many of them at your institution, find spaces and opportunities where they can shine, right? Just like our student panelists just did. And again, shout out to them. They put a lot of work into preparing for this panel, and just looking at all of the love and support you've all shown them in the chat. I know that they are going to feel good about what they got to contribute to today. So maybe you can find that opportunity for your students at your institution as well. Next slide, Nydia. So again, I'm sorry that we ran short on time, but I really wanted our panelists and our students to shine. I think that was the thing that most of us were here to see and to experience. So we're going to jump ahead a little bit to our closing. Nydia, if you can go to 45. QR code for our post-event survey. Please fill that out. There's a number of questions on there that will just give us a lot of good feedback about the workshop. We would love to do more of these for you all, especially if it's something that you all want and feel that it's helpful. We also have another Train the Trainer topic that's coming up on Wednesday, May 7th. It'll be from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. again, and it'll be best practices for supporting our foster youth. So shout out to Ugo. He's our other program director who will lead that session. I'm sure he's got a really good program and workshop planned for anyone who wants to join. You can find information on how to register for that on our website, which maybe, Nydia, maybe we can drop the link in the chat to our Train the Trainer page on our 10KD site. But with that, we've got just a few more minutes here. If anyone has any questions, now's the chance, right? We've got a couple more minutes. Again, sorry we couldn't get to our activity and kind of go into our breakout groups, but I think our panelists really got their time to shine, so that makes me happy.